Hi, I'm Jodie Turner-Smith.
Hello, I'm Daniel Kaluuya, and you're watching In Studio with Hollywood Reporter.
We're here to talk about Queen and Slim, which for me, as soon as I watched the movie, within the first minute, I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm in. This movie's phenomenal from top to finish. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, you're both in almost every scene together. What did you do to prepare to inhabit these roles? Did you spend any time together, or were you kind of coming in as your characters did, just meeting each other?
Well, we spent a little bit of time together, like during the prep, after, cause the first time we met was the chemistry read. And after that, like, we definitely made a conscious effort to like reach out to each other and to talk to each other. We met up and hung out, and then when we got to New Orleans, Daniel would come round mine, or I would go to him, and we would read, scenes together, which was really great because I had no concept of what the workload would be like once we actually started, because like I'd never been in anything where you're on almost every page of the script together with someone, so there was never time after that point really to rehearse.
Yeah, and then we sat down, we kind of just got to know each other.
Yeah.
And I do remember the night before we started shooting in Cleveland, I went into a hotel room, and she taught me about alkaline water. She broke down. I was so paranoid now. I thought, oh my God, I'm so acidic. We just got to know each other. And I think you just have to be open and get on the same frequency.
So you worked with two creative powerhouses, Melina Matsoukas, the director, and Lena, Waithe, the writer and producer. What did you learn from each of them? Can you just tell me one thing that kind of stands out that you learned from them?
Stands out for me, I think for me it's Lena's just force. She's very inspirational force. How she has created a space for this to be so unapologetic and so authored and so singular. It's really inspiring to see, and I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from what you can ask from creativity, and from Melina. It's just knowing how much she cares, and seeing someone that's so particular about every single inch definitely made me look at the stuff I do and made me go, oh, I need to step up. If someone is as forensic on 2 looks, I had a lot of fittings over 2 looks. That's not usually for a man. That's not usually a focus. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and she cared about everything, every bit of detail, every kind of haircut, she'd call me randomly and be like, yo, how you growing your hair? Like months before the shoot. And it was like, yeah, make sure you don't cut it, this, that, and the other. She's very, she wanted it to be the best it can be.
The biggest thing that sort of I think I took from both of them was just that they're two very powerful women, and they're aware of they really know who they are. They really know who they are, and they really speak that into the spaces that they inhabit, which I think is a very powerful thing. And I think often as women in different spaces, we often feel like we have to make ourselves smaller, or we have to accommodate the spaces that we're in. But they both have this boldness about who they are, about their talent, this fearlessness that they speak into they speak their energy into the rooms that they're in, and whatever they're doing, that's so powerful. And I really, that was something that I really admired and kind of took and as a lesson, and really how to do that.
Yeah, Jodie, it sounds a lot like you're describing the character that you inhabited in this movie. How was it for that to be your first leading role?
I mean, it was really special to be able to get to play a woman as complex and fully formed and intriguing and interesting as Queen, and she's definitely very much like some parts of Melina and like some parts of Lena, and obviously Lena wrote the script, so there's going to be her in that as well. And I think that the collaboration that came from when everyone, when you guys worked on the script as well, and when Lena and Melina talked about it and everything, there are so many elements in the script that come from real conversations that they've had amongst themselves. And so there is that kind of element of there in that. But I think also, just as a Black woman, there is something, much of who Queen is, I think, was an experience relatable to any black woman, that she could look at that and say, like, I understand who this woman is and why she ticks, and I think that's why it was something that was so popular when we all read it, all of us in the community, and we're like, wow, this woman is so interesting and amazing. And I think it's because, as black women, we could sort of relate to so much about her in that way. I think there's a common thread in the experience, in the struggle, in the desire to be excellent and to carry yourself in a certain way, to hide your pain and things like that.
Is there any particular scene that you're kind of excited for the public to see? Like any of those great interactions that you have as your two characters go on the run?
For me, it's I think Uncle Earl's house
Yes.
is a sequence that I just think is fascinating. Uncle Earl is Queen's uncle in the film, and it's interesting. Someone did actually say the parallels of black masculinity between Slim and Uncle Earl, in the sense that when you see him the most unhinged is when he's under the influence, and what he does when he's unhinged, and people would see that man as the most outwardly confident version of a black man, and having someone like Slim who is very simple, very content, very vulnerable in this film, but shows the strength in that he shows up for Queen in the film, and those parallels, and Queen being in the center of it. Do you know what I'm saying? And understanding why Queen, I just had this thought now, why Queen is the way she is because of the men she's been exposed to. Do you know what I'm saying? And she's just probably assuming, not to project or say what, probably from this my interpretation, probably assuming like, well, you ain't nothing anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's I find Uncle Earl as a study of black masculinity and the parallels it has with Slim fascinating, just really fascinating sequence.
Let's talk a little bit about the politics of the movie. I don't want you to have to speak for like your entire nation, but as two British people, what is your experience with police officers in the UK? Do you have similar experiences that Americans do? I
can only speak for me. This is something I intimately know, not logically know, and this is stuff that, like, to the point where being stopped and searched as a kid, I thought was normal. I thought that's what everyone happened to everyone. It happened to everyone around me. So, and then it only being a man and looking back, go, and friends opening up about their stories and going, it's a bit weird that they got kids in that position.
And I really did do as well a lot of research on policing in America and policing of the black man in America, because when you really dive into it, you learn so many things, even why police were formed in this country, which was as a tool to catch slaves. And how you see like the connection, because obviously there's certain nuances that are specific to this country that we're talking about specifically, and I definitely think that as a black person living anywhere in the world, you understand oppression, you understand state violence, you understand all of those things because that's happening all over the world, and whether it's happened to you personally, you understand it logically.
Your characters are folk heroes, that they kind of are part of a long tradition of the American folk hero. Daniel, you spoke a little bit about Angela Davis. Daniel, is there any folk heroes that inspired you as you took on this role?
No. It was more just kind of, I wanted to feel as human and as grounded and as everyman as possible. I think that I genuinely don't think Slim believes he is a hero or can be a hero. He even says it, goes, I ain't gonna bend the world. I just want a lady that remembers me fondly. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's a person that isn't pushed into the forefront in this day and age because he doesn't want much. He doesn't want the attention. He doesn't want the limelight, the spotlight, and and that's such an incredible candidate to be in this situation because he's just trying to survive.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna find somebody with a phone so I can call my family.
If you do that, then they'll know where we are.
Great.
What if they kill us?
Don't say that!
There's no guarantee they won't. You're a black man that killed a cop and then took his gun.
I'm not a criminal.
You are now.
Congratulations, Queen and Slim. Beautiful movie. Check it out.